I had the pleasure of growing up here in the United States with Ghanaian heritage. So my lens of Ghana was through the community that I grew up in and the church that I went to growing up. And I've had the luxury of being able to go to Ghana at different ages. Ages 2, ages 7, 18, 26, and now 35. So I'm going to take you on my 5th visit to Ghana with my whole entire family. Hey, what's going on? This is Maoli Vodi with Financially Present, your one-stop shop for financial and investment education. And in this next series of videos, I'm going to take you on a long and wild trip to Ghana, West Africa, where my family is from. And this is our 5th visit, or my particular 5th visit. And this time, for the first time ever, I brought my kids. You see, my last visit was in 2014. It was just my wife and I. And with my family being from Ghana, there were some arrangements that were already made for us and things were a little bit different. But this time around, we moved in a relatively large group. Okay, so this trip included coordination with my family of 4, my sister-in-law, my sisters, their husbands, and their kids. So in total, we were a group of 17. And in this series, I'm going to go over all that it took in order for this to take place. So the main purpose of this is so that when you want to experience a trip like this, whether you're going to Ghana or any other place, you'll be able to do that on your own. You see, in our last series, we talked about personal finance struggles. And for me, one of my struggles is spending my money or even enjoying it. So when it came to a trip like this is something that required a lot of planning. But it was very important because I know one of the more important things for me is spending quality time with my friends and family. And this was a big trip, and I want you to be able to make sure that when you're spending your hard-earned money, you can do it towards something that means a lot to you. All right, so with this trip, we had, cultural lessons, we had all types of cuisine, we had history lessons, excursions, trips, some downtime here and there. Honestly, the time was a blur, but it was fun at the same time as well. And I don't regret any aspect of the cost or the money that was spent because we planned. And I'm gonna go over that. One aspect of any vacation that you would have to plan, and obviously you know where you came to for this video, is budgeting. Yes, we started this a long time ago. This wasn't like we just thought of this idea a month or 2 ago and said, hey, we'll just charge it. No, we started planning over a year ago. Okay, so that made it much more comfortable when we were actually on the trip when it came to spending. So one video is completely going to be dedicated to how we budgeted, what we spent, and how close we were to our budget at the end of the trip. Currency, that's another aspect we're going to cover in this series because in Ghana we use the cedis, whereas in the US we use the US dollar, obviously. And that means you have to convert your currency, or when you decide to swipe a card, there's going to be a foreign exchange fee that may be charged to you. So how do you prepare for that? What is that going to cost? How do you do these things leading up to the trip and make sure that you have enough and you're ready? We're going to break all of that down. Accommodations. That is a critical part of any type of trip or vacation. And we were a relatively large group, as I mentioned, 17, and actually a little bit more. But we were able to secure accommodations for a large group like this. And I'm talking about, we had the oldest person probably being about in there close to 40, whereas the youngest person was 3 months old, and everyone was able to be comfortable. So we have some tips in here for you specifically about that and how you can have some good accommodations when you're traveling abroad, whether it's in Ghana or other countries. Bargaining. Bargaining is a big aspect of commerce in Ghana. As you know, it's a third world country, but at the same time, you have the haves and the have-nots as you would anywhere else in the world. And when it comes to exchanging certain items on the street for money, there is some level of bargaining. So I'll break down how we bargain on certain items and one of the best ways to do it too. And just a hint, you want to be able to speak some of the local language, if at all possible. And those are some things I can always send you some tips on. Cultural events, these could span from meeting elders in the community to visiting a chief. in the local village or experiencing the installment of a queen mother, the queen mother of my father's village. That's one of the main reasons we went for this visit. So we experienced culture on many levels in Ghana, and some of these were first times for me. So I'm glad to bring you on that journey. So as I mentioned before, this is my 5th visit to Ghana, and it's been different every single time. And part of my background was experiencing Ghana through the lens of the community that I grew up in here in the US. And that's of the people of the Volta region of Ghana. They formed an organization and then eventually formed a church. And for me, those were people who were my aunts and uncles versus my actual real life aunts and uncles. So I can count on 1 or 2 hands how many times I've seen some of my blood relatives because we're separated by about 5,000 miles. So you're gonna see a lot of that, but ultimately, one of the most important things is making sure that if traveling and taking these momentous trips are important to you, that you can lay the groundwork so that you can have more of that and more of that time with your family. Because for me, I completely unplugged. I made sure that I didn't have any work to do. I did a lot of work before so that I had time to take a break during this and just soak it all in and make sure that I was present and with my family. It meant the world to me to be able to be in a position to bring my kids overseas to a different continent. And I wish the same for you. You don't learn enough about the world through books or through TV. You have to go and experience it for yourself. So what are some things you want to experience and things that you would set a financial goal towards and eventually celebrate at the end, whether it's a big trip or a big purchase or retirement? It could look so many different ways. In this series, I'm going to go through all of these different things with how we were able to travel in Ghana. And I want you to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the page, and turn on notifications so that you don't miss out on future content. And until next time, stay present.